Hey everyone, welcome to the Wicked Ones podcast. This is Jen.
And this is Tara.
And welcome back. We're actually recording back-to-back episodes.
Yes, we are.
Just due to everything going on in our lives. So not a lot has changed except for
we ordered lunch.
Ordering food. So we're going to just jump right into another one of our tragic love stories.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited to hear what you have today.
Yeah, because us true crime fans, we just always want to know the dark side of everything.
Yeah.
We can only handle so much foofy. So the story I have for you today sounds literally like it could have been a scene from a horror movie, okay? Because our victim gets buried alive.
That is my worst nightmare.
Is it? Oh, I have a
that
question.
Or drowning.
Yeah? Oh my gosh.
Oh gosh, could you imagine being buried alive and just the panic? Because I can't, I'm like claustrophobic. Oh God. Starting to have a panic attack just thinking about it.
Well, that was one of my questions here in another, after I mentioned a couple things, I was going to say, have you ever had this fear? But wow, you just came right out of the gate and you were not shy about that. I have to say, I've never thought about it. I've never thought about being buried alive. That's never come across my mind at all. No.
Stay up late one night and think these thoughts with me.
I mean, I think about fire and drowning. Those two are probably up there for me. Yeah.
But drowning especially.
Oh, for sure, drowning. But instead of my story today ending in murder, I have an unexpected twist for you.
Ooh, is it a survival story?
Ooh, it might be. I am going to tell you the incredible story of what happened to 27-year-old Michelina Lewandowska. And if I'm correct, this is also the first story of ours that takes place outside the U.S. It takes place in England. Have you heard this one?
I have not.
Ah, yay! Okay, and yeah, I was going to ask you, if this was a fear for you, because it's one of the things that I had found out was this is actually one of the most common phobias, being buried alive. But I feel like this is something that people would worry about when they're older and thinking, oh God, what if I have an issue and they think I'm dead and they bury me prematurely?
I read those things, but I would think back in the day that would be a problem. Not today.
Oh, yeah. I went down the rabbit hole on that
quite a few processes before you actually make it in the ground.
Yeah.
I can't even handle, even when I was younger, how they used to bury each other in the sand.
Oh, yeah.
Not being able to move my limbs. Oh, God.
Yeah.
It just...
Well, I can imagine if that's a phobia, that would be something that...
Horrible. You're not scared of it, being buried alive?
I mean, I guess I am now, because I went down, I thought about it a lot, and I went down this whole, I wanted to be knowledgeable on this whole thing, and we'll talk about all that later, but yeah, I listened to this whole podcast the other day on what measures they used to take so that people weren't buried alive. This was a huge fear. They even had death hospitals where they would keep people and they would...
Just in case they weren't
Just in
dead.
case. Just in case.
Oh.
Yeah. Pretty crazy, but we don't have to go into all that. So I'm going to start my story now. So Michelina Lewandowska met the father of her child, Marcin Kasperzak, back in 2005 in their native Poland. However, in 2006, they traveled to England to look for work, and they ended up moving in with Marcin's parents in Huddersfield, West Yorks. Soon after they were engaged, they had a little boy on the way, but unfortunately during the pregnancy, their relationship just took a turn and they weren't getting along. There was a lot of fighting and conflict, and she called off the engagement, but they did continue living together with their son, Jacob. It was also at this time that Marcin started working out 5 days a week at the local gym, and he became addicted to anabolic steroids. So you can only imagine the issues that probably caused, right?
Roid rage is never good.
Right. Well, and it makes me think too, sure, this guy was maybe a wannabe bodybuilder, but he probably used this time to get away. He probably just didn't want to be there. The relationship, though, continuing to deteriorate, was said to be on again, off again. And luckily, even though Michelina had called off the wedding, she continued to wear her engagement ring on occasion. Thankfully, because little did she know it would be this very ring that would end up saving her life. So keep your engagement rings on, ladies.
Got it.
Keep those bands on. In 2011, Marcin had heard rumors that Michelina had finally had enough of their tumultuous situation, and she was making plans to take Jacob and move back to Poland. Well, he couldn't have that, right? He He didn't want her leaving. He didn't want her taking his son away. So apparently he thought she'd be better off dead. So one Saturday in May, Marcin told her he wanted to take her shopping since his mother had taken Jacob out for the day and they had the day to themselves. She was taken aback, but she decided it might be fun, so she agreed. I mean, maybe she kind of, who knows, right? If you're describing something as on again, off again, you have a son together. I'm sure part of you wants it to work out.
But at this point, he knows that it's over entirely because she's leaving, or she's doing this on the under the radar.
There were rumors. So it never said that it was truly what she was doing, but there were rumors that this is what she was going to do. She was going to take him back. So when I think of rumors, who knows if it was true or not? And I didn't see anything that really corroborated. They never really asked her. So, Yeah. While she was getting ready, putting on her makeup in the bathroom, she heard voices in the other room. Marcin was talking to his friend, Patrick Boris. She left the bathroom to see what they were doing, and she saw that they were standing there waiting on her. I'm sure she was confused. All right, we're supposed to go shopping. We're supposed to hang out. What's your friend doing here? With an evil smile on his face, Marcin pulled a taser out of his pocket, said he had something to show her. And then he shoved it against her neck, shooting 300,000 volts of electricity through her. Holy shit, right?
Yeah, no.
Through your neck?
Tasing's crazy.
Yeah, can you imagine? She said she felt a massive shock and intense agonizing pain as he drug her across the floor and kept the taser at her neck. So I read that he tased her twice. Poor girl didn't stand a chance. She was 5'5" and approximately 133 pounds, which over in England is 9.5 stones. I did not know this. This is kind of cool. And she couldn't put up much of a fight against Marcin's 6 foot, nearly 200-pound frame. So it was at this point that Patrick came in with the tape. He had packing tape, and he helped his friend Marcin tape her up. They bound her hands and ankles, and then they left her there in the hallway for several hours. So, it drives me crazy because when we do our research, I can never stand when things are so different. I mean, in some reports, she was there for 2 hours, and in some, she was there for 6. That's a huge difference. Yeah, so either way, that poor woman had a lot of time to lie there, scared to death, and try to think of what was going to happen next. So the next thing she knew, she was taken into the kitchen where they then put her bound and gagged into a cardboard box that would act as a makeshift coffin. So they just bundled her up, put her in this box, and closed the lid. She told authorities that she was terrified and mentioned that at one point, before they had closed the lid, the two were talking about a plastic bag, and she thought they were going to tape it over her head and suffocate her first. She was terrified. She didn't know what to do. She couldn't move.
So her mouth was covered, but she could still breathe through her nose, I'm assuming.
Yeah, she was bound and gagged, but her nose wasn't covered. So Marcin leaned in as he was shutting her in, telling her that he had hated her for years and that she was hopeless. She said the calm manner in which he was doing these awful things to her was really what scared her the most.
Oh, that's weird, because that's not roid rage.
No. I mean, he did all of this very deliberately and calmly, it sounded like.
So this definitely
This was planned. Mm-hmm. Once she was taped up in the box, Marcin and Patrick put her into the trunk of the car and drove off, or the boot of the car, depending on where you're from. Once they arrived at their destination, which was a wooded area near Woodsum Hall Golf Club in West Yorks, they pulled her out. They dragged the box along the ground. At this point, Michelina said it was really painful, the scraping of the rocks and stones against her back. I mean, really, cardboard isn't all that thick. I'm sure she felt all of it. And then it suddenly stopped. She could hear the men digging, and dirt was being piled on top of her. She was terrified, and she thought, this is it. I'm going to die right here in this awful place. And she knew she would soon suffocate, so she started breathing as slowly and shallowly as she could, trying to keep herself calm. Like, that's awesome that she was in that state of mind to be like, okay, just relax, take short breaths, listen, try to hear what's going on, decide when I can try to make my move if I have a chance.
Yeah, I couldn't do that.
Yeah, I don't know what I would
do. The more
do.
that I try to calm myself down, the more probably deeper breaths I would take.
Right. And that was one thing that I had read. I remember that they said, if you're ever in a situation where you're buried alive, just so you know, Jen, you want to take deep breaths and hold it in and then slowly let it out and then take another deep breath. Don't ever take a breath and then swallow, because that is when you start hyperventilating. So if that saves anyone out there, you're welcome. So Honestly, she was very smart, right? I'm sure she wanted to panic and get the hell out of there, but she bided her time. And with her shallow breaths, listening intently, she was trying to hear for the sound of the men, moving away, a car to start, something like that, to kind of give her a clue of when to start making her move. She said the only thing keeping her going was the thought of her son Jacob and not wanting him to grow up without a mother. Like I'm sure that would keep anybody going.
Absolutely.
Or the thought of getting revenge on this asshole. So she never did hear the car. She couldn't hear anything. But after some time, she knew that she was running out of air and she had to try to break free. Fortunately, she had waited long enough. The boys had left her there. You know what they did? They drove over to Morrison's supermarket nearby and withdrew 500 pounds from her bank account with her ATM card. And then they went off to play video games, leaving Michelina to suffer and die in her shallow grave.
How old are they at this point?
He's 25. His friend Patrick is 18. And she's 27. So despite the 2 holes in the side of the box for handles, which I'm sure helped a little bit, she was worried there wasn't much air left. I mean, obviously, you're estimating, you don't know. So as I mentioned earlier, thankfully she had her ring on. This would really be the only thing that would help her dig her way out, which is crazy. She used it first to cut through the tape that she was bound with, and then kicking and slashing at the box, she just kept working at it. Just kept working and working and working until she had finally created a hole large enough for her hand to get through. So she sticks her hand through, and she says after that point, once she got her hand through, she just started tearing frantically at the box and pulling at the cardboard, trying to make a bigger hole. As she did so, dirt was falling in all around her. I was
just going to say, now it's caving in on her.
It is. And from what I read, they had only put 4 inches of dirt on top of her. I mean, I'm sure it was still heavy. Okay. They had put 4 inches of dirt on her and a 90-pound tree over the top. Okay. Because I can only describe it as a tree. They say a tree limb, a tree branch. This was like a small tree that they had leaned over the top.
Over it like it was a dead.
Yeah, it was like a dead log or whatever. It was just leaning right over there.
But 4 inches, that's lazy.
Hey, like I said, it was a shallow grave.
Thank God. But
thank God.
Lazy.
Oh, I for sure thought that they had this
6 feet. Yeah, they dug the hole weeks ahead of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank God they didn't. You're right. So, but she doesn't know that, right? She probably doesn't know what the hell's going on. I can't even imagine. She sticks her hand out, dirt's falling in all around her, all over her clothes, her hair, her face. She starts screaming. She says, "Help! God save me! Please help!" She was just praying somebody might hear her cries. She didn't know where she was. It took a while, and she said she felt very weak in her efforts toward the end of her fight, but once she had a decent-sized hole, she was able to push up and get her head out. And she said that it was at that point, it was very dark. She could at least still see the trees in the sky. She realized she was going to make it. Okay, I can get out of this. Oh, and I was going to show you a pic of the ring, and I didn't bring it. A pic of the ring, and then a pic of, I'll show you later. I have a photo of that, and then I have a photo of the actual site after she had gotten out.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's good. It's so you can kind of see the situation. So as she clawed her way out of the ground, exhausted, still in pain and gasping for air, covered in dirt, she stumbles over to the nearest road and she's able to flag down a passerby to stop and help her. What do you think? If you saw this woman coming out of the woods
covered in dirt, I would I don't know. I might stop, but just tell her to stay right there and call for help.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't let her in my car. I wouldn't pick her up. I might stay there with her outside the car.
I've seen too many movies and shows.
I've just read too much. Is it a setup? It's just
right. You just never
is she
know.
the victim or is she the assailant? I've just seen too much.
Right.
I'm just too paranoid nowadays.
Yeah. No, I think it's smart to be. I mean, but I am imagining myself as this person who just clawed their way out of a grave, and I'm stopping, and I would hope to God somebody would stop and help me.
There's those people.
Yeah. So within 15 minutes, the police had arrived, and she took them to what was left of her shallow grave in the woods, which I said, I've got a picture. I'll show it to you later, and we'll post it. We'll post it on our Instagram and Facebook. So Marson was arrested shortly after. He denied attempted murder. His QC, which stands for Queen's Counsel of the Ministry of Justice of England, basically their version of a lawyer, tried to suggest that he never meant to kill her, that he only intended to scare her in the incident. Thoughts, Jen?
Well, That's still an asshole move. You don't just bury people because
No.
it could go wrong. So even though you tried to scare her, she could have died.
But then you took her ATM card and you took money out of her
You
bank
also
account and started playing video
you also
games?
tased her twice.
Yeah, you had no intention of coming back.
No, I mean,
Nice try. Well, we don't believe you.
no.
However, Marcin Kasperzak was found guilty by a jury at Leeds Crown Court in January of 2012 and jailed for 20 years for attempted murder and kidnapping. Thoughts, Jen?
Well, I don't know how the legal system works over there, but do you get time off for good time
You
served?
do.
So you get out really quick. Side note, I really don't understand that because what bad things can you do in prison? I'm sure you can do some bad things, but it's not as if you are living among the public and can do very bad things. So
Mm-hmm.
good behavior in prison doesn't make sense to me.
Right. Just because you didn't shank somebody
Yeah,
doesn't give you the right to get out 10 years earlier.
no. And I think 20 years is not enough.
No, he tried to kill her. He thought he killed her.
He buried her alive, which I think is also another interesting fact that he didn't have the guts to kill her.
No, thank
He
God.
buried her alive.
But instead, he was going to give her the worst possible death you could imagine.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think in
That
his
would've been-
mind,
yeah, I know.
he couldn't.
He couldn't do it himself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Very true. So Patrick was not found guilty of attempted murder, though. Only kidnapping charges, and was given 4.5 years in a Young Offenders Institute.
Oh, for the love.
So
Patrick's
basically,
a
like
devil.
juvie. Yeah. He's 18. Here in the States, he would have been tried as an adult. And I'm sure he would have been a corroborator in
I would
the
hope
murder.
so.
Mm-hmm. Both were told they would serve half their sentences before being released on a license. Not on a license, sorry. Released on license, which I'm guessing is probation. However, while in prison for the attempted murder, Marcin was later sentenced to a further 8 4-year terms after explosives and bomb-making materials were found in his home that he shared with Michelina. The police uncovered all of this stuff and like dynamite basically when they were searching their home during their investigation. So
They lived together?
yeah, they still live together with his parents.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's nice, right? He had another, so that's 32, and if he gets good behavior, another 16 years.
Because good guys usually don't bury people alive.
Mm-hmm. And have bomb making equipment at their house. You know. So while Michelina was happy that he was given the prison time, she still lives in fear. Rightly so. I would too, right? She said, and I quote, "I hate Marcin for what he did. I thought he was going to kill me, and I still have nightmares about him and the attack. He is vile and despicable. I will never forgive him for what he did. Now he's the one who is imprisoned, and I hope he rots in there." So I did the math, because we talked about it a little bit. If he only serves half his term, that's only 10 years, and say half the time for the explosives, another 16, he could be released as soon as 2038, and he would be 51. But that's if he doesn't get out earlier on parole. So I'm not sure how it works in England, but here, if you get time for good behavior, there's prison overcrowding. Say you have a parole every 5 years, but nobody shows up to defend the victim or contest it. These prisoners get out even earlier. Or who knows, COVID?
Yeah.
Anything. I mean, all of these things come up. Thankfully, though, I read that Michelina and her son Jacob have been moved to a secret address far from Huddersfield, but I'm sure the fear will remain with her for a long, long time.
I was actually wondering if they were going to have that relationship with his son be protected.
I mean, I hope it's like witness protection, right? With Zach. On a side note, I did keep going down that path of getting buried alive, like I mentioned in the beginning. And so medically, this is known as taphophobia, just so you have a name that goes along with this. And again, I said it's actually one of the most common phobias. They say, and I had to look this up because I was curious. So they say in a coffin, you could have approximately how much air do you think you'd have? How many hours do you think you could survive if you were buried alive in a coffin?
In a coffin? 8?
Oh, it's a pretty good guess. It says 5.5. 5.5 hours of oxygen, at least according to science. Some sources and like a lot of TV shows say 1.5 hours. That's about it.
I think cardboard is more.
Yeah, well, and there were handles in the cardboard, and it wasn't, I'm sure it was probably smaller than a coffin, but so she probably only had that 1.5 hours of air in there. So
Did
I
it
thought
say how long she was in the ground before? How long did
it
they estimate how long it took her to get out?
it did. It took her they estimated it took her about 30 minutes to get out, but that she was in there. I didn't write this down. I want to say a total of an hour.
Okay.
So she must have like bided her time and waited there for 30 minutes, which must have felt like a lifetime.
Oh, I'm sure.
And then it took her another 30 minutes just to get out of there. Yeah. So,
And I'm sure she was using up her oxygen faster as she was working her way out.
mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So that is my story.
That's our first survivor story.
Yeah, first survivor story. I liked it though. I was like, you know what? This is crazy. Good for her. She's a badass.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She didn't give up, clawing her way
No.
out, literally. And I'm glad that her and her son are protected. I'm really happy to hear that. Because I was wondering if she would have to fight to keep, who knows the legal system, whether he still gets
I
visitation
know.
in prison with his son. I mean, you never know
Mm-hmm.
what kind of rights criminals have. I'm learning a lot as we go along and
Yeah, I
finding
mean, this
out
is
more
what
and
it
more.
said. So it sounds to me like he does not get that relationship. They are protected. So yeah, witness protection is just a very great thing. It's a great service that I think hopefully is utilized as often as it needs to be.
I hope so. It's got to be really difficult as a survivor to know that you need to be put in witness protection because you have to leave your whole life behind,
Mm-hmm.
right? Your
Yeah.
parents,
Oh
your
yeah.
grandparents, siblings, and you can't have. Can you stay in touch with them? I don't think so.
Probably not, although I'm sure some of these people aren't, you know, as techy and crazy as they make it seem in the movies where they're like tapping your phone and following you everywhere. I mean, I guess there are people that are
Like that.
you just never know, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
have to cut all ties, or there's got to be a way you can still keep in touch with your family
These days, you would think.
You
But you
would
probably
think.
wouldn't be able to see them. I don't know. It's a good service, but it's really scary to know that you
Yeah.
would have to use it.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. I agree, but I can't imagine living in fear, or I don't know, come up with something around the time that they get out of prison and then they go into like a witness protection. Or
Well, but how fun, and this is my flip the script. You could create another life because you just show up like
yeah, that's
with
true.
you and your family, and
Yeah.
that's probably a distorted way of looking at it. But you could be anybody because you have to come up with a backstory, right? Oh
Yeah.
my gosh,
Oh,
I
you're
would come up
right.
with like the craziest backstory. Well, then probably no
Yeah.
one would believe it, but
Oh no, but then they'd have to because you'd have like certifications and paperwork.
yeah.
Oh
So
yeah.
it could be kind of
Ooh, let's come up
exciting.
with what our new name would be.
Oh, and what I did, like what my
Yeah.
career would be.
You wouldn't just like your first like street name and dog's name or something. It would sound like I don't know if that would work in
Why
this
are you
situation.
named Canyon Canyon?
Right?
That's a weird name. No,
That's
it's
an
not.
interesting name. Nah,
Oh,
it's
and you could
very
be mysterious because when people asked about your family, yeah, you
oh
could
yeah.
really spin off of that. Not that you want to be in witness protection, but if you had to be,
Hey.
you could at least make it a little exciting.
Yeah. Why not? Hey, be what you always wanted to be. Sure. But you know what? I get an ice cream shop on the corner of this town and this is what I do.
Oh my
I wonder if they'd
gosh.
help you out with that.
I
Probably not.
have
They're
a
like,
feeling they
your
don't do.
name is Sally.
I have a
You
feeling
work
they
at
don't
this
do business
company. Right?
financing.
No business financing? Come on. Give me the ice cream shop. I don't even know why I said ice cream shop. Like, it's not like I want one of those, but
Oh my
it'd be
gosh.
fun.
Oh, too funny.
I would have to like work in like a cubicle and wear like tweed or something and glasses, and they'd be like, "This is your identity." Awesome.
Oh, could you imagine me in an office? Loose cannon. Would not work out.
No.
They would have to put me on one of those walking desks.
Mm-hmm. But they couldn't let you go.
Just so like
this
I'd be
is
like
what
a
you
dog
do
who
now.
needs to like use my excess energy so I don't have outbreaks outbursts.
You know what, Jen? You're just gonna get your own corner office. We can't handle having you on the floor with the normal people.
Have you done your treadmill time yet today?
You can put a treadmill in there. Perfect. Oh.
Seriously.
Oh, but we
But
have a flip the
we
script. Yeah.
do. It's for all of our dog lovers out there. I have a funny story afterwards, but I'll let Tara talk about Minnie.
Yes.
Another survivor.
Yeah. Oh, another
We have a dual
survivor.
survivor
Perfect.
story.
Yes, we do. Minnie, the little Yorkie across the street with our sweet neighbors. Um, oh, it was heart wrenching because last week, or it was a couple weeks ago, they had informed us that Minnie has cancer. She went in, she had a tumor removed from her mouth, and they came back with bad news. It's aggressive cancer. And so they let us know that they had an appointment, that Friday. So the kids and I went over there on Thursday night and we sat with her and we gave her all the love that we could and said goodbye. We were probably there for a good hour. And then when we left, Billy, he was working late that night, so he went back over so he could say goodbye to her too. And that night when he came back home, he was like, "You guys have good news. The Minnie is acting more like herself. She's not just laying there. She's actually eating now. She's walking around. She's up and down the stairs, which she wasn't taking the stairs before. She was just laying in her bed from Monday, not eating. So she kind of turned a corner,
That's
and
great.
yeah, so they canceled the appointment, and she is. I'm happy to say it's been a little while, and she's still doing good. So you know,
That's great.
second
Yay,
chance at life for Minnie.
Minnie. Yay,
Yeah.
Minnie. She
Yeah.
heard them making the appointment on the
She was
phone.
like, "What is going on? These people
People
are
are coming
giving
over
me
to give me
way too much
goodbyes.
love."
No, no, no. That's it. I'm waking up here.
Yeah, I better get it
Maybe she just
together.
wasn't feeling well.
Yeah, like I said, maybe. I mean, I know she has cancer. I know it's not a good prognosis, but we all get under the weather sometimes, and maybe she was just sick.
You could have a
So,
little bit more precious time with her.
yeah.
But on the other side, everyone told Jen that they were going to say goodbye to
Yeah.
Minnie because it was the end of days. So
Yeah.
I just yesterday, after getting a text from Tara's sweet neighbor, I told her how deeply sorry I was for the loss of Minnie, only to get a text back that Minnie was still alive. And I felt like the biggest asshole in the world. So the next time you decide you're
Oh.
going to send an I'm sorry your dog died text, confirm the death.
My bad. I didn't tell you the good news.
No, it's okay.
I'm sorry.
I would just imagine my face when I read.
Oh,
I
yeah.
just all kinds of. But anyways, we're just happy Minnie's around a little bit longer.
Yeah, she's a sweetie. She's a sweetie. So, yeah, I mean, we figured all of our dog lovers out there would appreciate that because we all love our dogs and we want them to be with us as long as possible.
Yeah, as long
Yeah.
as they're not suffering.
Yeah, and it sounds like she's doing better. So,
That's good.
yay.
All right. Well, we have one more sweetheart love gone wrong story.
Yes.
I hope that
I'm
you.
excited to hear yours.
It's a little bit well known. I told you, but I think I'm gonna stick with it. Try to maybe find out.
It sounds like a good one. Stick with it. It sounds like you're interested, and now I'm
I'm
interested.
fascinated
So
by
you
it.
have to stay with it. Okay. If you said fascinated, we want to hear.
I'm
We want the
fascinated.
details.
So, and then we have one more of that, and then we jump into March. It's going by so fast.
Yeah.
2021,
It really is.
and March is gonna be our topic.
Spring break.
Spring break.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be another good one.
Yeah.
We could come up with some good
yeah.
stories.
Yeah. Yep. So stay tuned. And if you are so inclined, head on over to where you listen and please let us know. Let us know what you think. Leave a review, only if it's a good one. If you don't have anything good to say, you can just keep that to yourself. But we do appreciate, on a serious note, we do appreciate any reviews and ratings that we get that'll help us, help us get out there, help people find us. As I said, we don't work for a network. We do all of this on our own. And although it is a labor of love, we do need your help to get out there in front of people. So tell your friends, share it, let them know what you're listening to. And, it's always fun to chat with. That's how we got started. We would share podcasts and books and movies, and then we would get together and talk about them all the time when we took our walks and walked the dogs. So if you have somebody to bounce that off of, it's a lot more fun. So tell your friends, let them know. Let them know where you can find us.
Yeah, and also
the Wicked Ones podcast everywhere you go.
Yeah,
Instagram, Facebook, website.
Yeah, and if there's a story specifically that you are interested in hearing more about, send that to us as well.
Yeah.
We would love
Ooh, or just close
suggestions.
calls or crazy stories from your childhood or something that you love all that
Oh, yeah, you
stuff.
found out your like great 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 grandfather.
Yeah, skeletons in the closet.
Yeah, we loved. Oh, those are the best
Yeah.
stories.
Oh, I've got so many. It's crazy. Like I just had this talk with my dad.
Oh my gosh.
We'll have to do a whole thing on skeletons in the closet. I got some crazy stories for
I don't
you.
think I have any. No one in my family has told me any. I'm gonna have to investigate more.
Yeah. Oh, I've got some good ones. Stay tuned if you want to hear those.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye bye.